Hello everyone, Infinite Movie Recaps here. Today I'm going to recap an action and sci-fi movie titled The Tomorrow War. 30 years into the future, a war breaks out between an alien species called White Spikes and the human race. With the humans race facing near extinction, very drastic measures have to be taken. The humans of 2050 go back 30 years into the past to recruit soldiers, both military and civilian alike. There will be spoilers ahead, now sit back, relax, and enjoy. In the movie's first scene, an ex-military official, Daniel Forrester, alongside other people, falls from the sky into a swimming pool. Daniel and a few other people who survived the jump look around to take in the war-ridden city around them. In the year 2022, which is 30 years from the future, Daniel drives back home from his job as a school teacher to join his family at a Christmas party. His wife and daughter, Emmy and Murray, welcome him warmly. He tells Emmy he has to go to an interview and secure a better job. Emmy grumbles a little bit but lets him go. Daniel goes outside and receives a call telling him his potential employer found someone else. Frustrated, Daniel throws a fit and returns home to watch the World Cup with his family. While they watch, something weird happens on the football pitch. A portal appears on the pitch and halts the game for a while. Soldiers dressed in futuristic gear breach the pit and relay an important message to the citizens of 2022 Earth. They tell them that they are looking for soldiers to fight along with them in the 2050 war against the White Spikes. 12 months after their appearance, the world governments start drafting civilians and military soldiers to fight in the future. One day, Daniel gets drafted while at work. He reports to a military facility and gets a bracelet surgically attached to his arm. Then he is given 24 hours to get his personal affairs in order, after which he's to report back to the facility for training. Daniel drives straight to his wife's workplace. Emmy sees the bracelet and stops work for that day. She rushes over and tells her husband to get the bracelet off his hand so they could make a run for it. Daniel says he can't, and Emmy begs him to go visit his deadbeat dad, James Forrester, first, and ask if he can help him remove the bracelet on his arm. Daniel reluctantly meets with his dad and asks for his help. On getting there, James accepts his son's request and gets on with removing the bracelet. Unfortunately, James gets into his old habit of being a bad father and physically assaults his son, thinking he's wearing a wire. Daniel breaks free of his grasp and leaves his father's place with the bracelet on. Daniel gets back home that afternoon and tells his wife that James couldn't get the bracelet off his hand. Emmy then asks him to tell Murray he's being drafted to the war. Daniel gets to the yard to talk to his daughter. He tells her about his recent draft, and Murray sheds tears as her beloved father promises her he's going to be back in 7 days' time. In the next scene, Daniel says goodbye to his family and joins the other draftees in training. The military briefs all 200 drafters on their assignment, and Daniel gets to meet a nervous geologist, Charlie, who becomes his friend. After the briefing, they both discuss the veteran of their group, Dorian. According to Charlie, Dorian survived one of the first jumps to the future and bought back a claw from a white spike. After their little chit-chat, the commander gathers her troops to give them a final brief of the mission. By nightfall, Daniel gets to talk to his buddy Charlie again. As they discuss, the alarm blares. It was time to make the 30-year time jump. Everyone gears up and rallies under the wormhole. Daniel helps Charlie cock his gun, and they all take their stances. In 10 seconds, the wormhole takes them all into the future. Daniel and the others are sent falling straight from the sky in the future. Some are lucky enough to make it into the water on the skyscraper, while others fall to their deaths. When they all regroup, the lead scientist researching a potent toxin to kill the spikes contacts Daniel and tells him to help her retrieve some of her samples from a lab in a high-rise building a few blocks away. She also mentions to them to make it quick because fighter planes have been given the go-ahead to destroy the city. Daniel leads his team through the streets to the lab. They find the samples and pick them up. Unfortunately, while exiting the building, they wake the hibernating spikes. Daniel and his team retrieve the samples and escape the spikes just in time before the bombers destroy everything in the city. A few days later, Daniel and Charlie wake up and discover IV bags connected to their arms. They walk outside to find out they've been transported to a military base. They meet with Dorian and find out why he's been on 3 deployments. Apparently, Dorian has cancer and would be dead in 6 months. So he decides to keep coming back to fight until he dies his own way. While talking to Dorian, Daniel gets called by the leader of the research team. He meets with the lady and finds out that she's his daughter, Murray. Miri is not really happy to see her dad, as he hasn't been the best dad. So she takes him on a walk and tells him not to be too psyched about seeing his daughter again. She says she only called him over because she needs him. Miri takes her father back to her mobile lab and tells him about the female white spike who seems to be resistant to their recent toxin. She then tells him he needs to go with her and a group of soldiers to capture a female white spike and test some samples of her DNA to find a toxin potent enough to kill them all. Daniel follows his daughter on their next mission. After getting there, Miri and her dad both join the other soldiers in the hole where the female white spike hides and goes through hell to capture it. The whole team gets fiercely attacked by the creature, which takes out more than half of the soldiers. The males find out their queen is in danger, so they come running down to rescue it. Eventually, Daniel and his daughter capture the female and escape the white spikes. Daniel and Miri stop by at the beach to talk properly. Miri tells him what happened while she was growing up. Apparently, Daniel left Emmy and Miri while she was 12, only to die later on in a car accident when she turned 16. Daniel's speechless as he watches his daughter cry and wonders how he could ever leave them. The next day, Daniel and Miri are back on their base. They work together in the lab to find a toxin that'll end the white spike species once and for all. They test every possible enzyme combination. By morning, they find out that the R7 enzyme is the enzyme they've been looking for. Daniel asks his daughter how she plans on delivering the enzyme. Miri doesn't give him any information about that and instead politely asks to be given some time. A few minutes later, Daniel asks her what her plan is, and she says she plans on sending Daniel back to the past with the R7 toxin in his hands, so they could mass produce it there and stop such a devastating future from happening. Daniel looks his daughter in the eyes and they have a father-daughter moment. Suddenly, the female white spike they captured wakes up and calls on her male minions to attack. In a matter of minutes, hundreds of thousands of male white spikes infiltrate the offshore facility. Miri and Daniel immediately rush to the time machine so Daniel can make his last jump back to the past with the toxin. They are cornered on the way by the female white spike and a few male spikes. Daniel and Miri fight through the spikes and make it to the wormhole just in time before it's totally destroyed. Daniel and his crew make the jump back to 2022 successfully as the humans of 2050 in that timeline are wiped out. Back in 2022, Daniel is given medical care. When he wakes up, he tells them about the toxin and informs them to mass produce it so they could send it back and destroy the spikes. The lieutenant tells him that the time machine in 2050 has been destroyed, so there is no way to get back there. Daniel gets back to his family and he hugs little Miri tightly. By nightfall, Emmy finds her husband beside their daughter. Daniel tells her about meeting their daughter in the future and the toxin they made. He informs her that he has no idea how to use the toxin to defeat the enemy. Emmy tells him to try checking a little further into the past to figure out a plan. Daniel immediately has an idea and gets on it. That night, he meets with Dorian and collects the white spike's claw he keeps. Then they both get to Charlie, who analyzes the sediments on the claws. The analysis shows volcanic ash sediments from somewhere between China and Russia. They contemplate where it could have come from but can't figure it out. Daniel suddenly remembers a volcanic ash expert, Martin, from his science class. He and the others immediately rush to the school to ask Martin for more information. Martin tells them the volcanic ash was from thousands of years ago when most of Russia and China were still bare and not covered in ice. Upon hearing this, Daniel realizes the white spikes have been on Earth all this while, hidden under 400 meters of ice, and would later be freed due to global warming. Daniel decides they have to get to Russia, and Martin gets to be the coolest kid in school after that day. Unfortunately for Daniel, the president is not really convinced about their theory. This means Daniel and his team would have to get to Russia themselves. Daniel immediately gets back to his dad and asks for his help to fly him and his team to Russia. James doesn't ask too many questions. That afternoon, the whole team is on their way to Russia in a cargo plane. They get to the ice caps of the large country and begin their search for the White Spike spaceship. They ride their snowmobiles through the thick snow fog until their magnetic field detectors go haywire. They stop there, blow a hole through the ground, and explore the cave underneath till they find the huge spaceship stuck under the ice. Daniel and the team equip their toxins and force their way into the spaceship. They find out the real pilots of the spaceship were transporting the white spikes to another planet, but unfortunately, they crash-landed on Earth. Daniel and his team inject the first set of toxins into the white spike's pod. This causes them to die screaming. Unfortunately, this wakes up the other white spikes and they rush out of their pods to attack the humans. Daniel, Charlie, and James are the only ones who make it out alive. The remaining stick around to activate the explosive they set around the ship. They blow the hell out of the ship and destroy all but one female white spike. James and Daniel follow the white spike and corner it. They engage it in a fierce fight which ends in their favor. The last of the white spike species is wiped out. In the final moments of the movie, Daniel returns to his family and finally lets his father meet Muri. He's finally reunited with his family, and humanity is given a chance to a bright future. Let me know what you think about this movie in the comments below, and if you liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.